Long distance relationships. Are you in one? Are you thinking about being in one? Have you accidentally stumbled into a long distance relationship? We're going to talk about it today, friends. I'm going to give you some of my thoughts, inputs. We're going to look at some studies, some research, some statistics, and we're going to see what does a long distance relationship hold for you, and also how to make a long distance relationship be successful or work. Let's get into it. Make sure you watch to the end because I've got some heat for you. All right, let's go. All right, let me start with my concerns that I have when I think about being involved in a long distance relationship. My first concern is money, okay? Finances. I'm giving this airline, giving this bus company, giving this train all this money just to be together for this short period of time. And I think it could just become a little frustrating. And then if you just don't have the resources to meet as frequently as you would like, that also can be a deterrent. It can just like kind of kill the zeal, man. Kill just, the romance just being quenched by the lack of finances and also the time. So if you do have the finances, do you have the time necessary to take off, to go visit, to stop doing what you're doing, to get with your potential spouse? And you're thinking like, okay, I have all this work back home that I have to get back to, or a business. And if you work for someone else, if you have an employer that you're working for, how much time can you schedule off? So now you're talking about weekend trips where you're taking most of the weekend traveling and not even seeing them, or you're scheduled around holidays. Also, will trust be an issue? I think it's in the world we live in today, in the society, the culture in which we live, the online culture. So many people, as I was researching this topic, talk about jealousy. They speak about jealousy in long distance relationships and how it tends to come up. With that, I think technology has helped or can help to bridge some of those concerns and gaps. The fact that we can do video calls now. I think more people today are actually involved in long distance relationships because of the internet, because of social media, because of technology that does allow us to connect from remote areas and connect in a pretty intimate way. I mean, video calls are fairly intimate, friends. If you're accustomed to always making just voice calls, when you start to make video calls with a person, it changes the whole dynamic of that communication and maybe even that relationship. So it's no shock to me that there would be more people online discussing long distance relationships because we're more connected, yet I know we are still fairly disconnected in light of all the technology. But here we are, and here you are, you may be involved in a long distance relationship. Let me give you some statistics. I wanted to know how many people are actually in long distance relationships in general in the US, all right? So now while the numbers were not exact, we got close, all right? Here's some key statistics for the US. Approximately 14 million to 28 million individuals in the United States consider themselves to be in a long distance relationship. That consider themselves was a little concerning for me, but nevertheless, is how it was stated. 14 to 28 million. This translates to roughly 7 million to 48 million couples, as you can do the math very quickly, in the U.S., who are currently in long distance relationships. Now, here is something I did not think about, or I forgot about, I should say, married couples. You're like, what? Yeah, married couples. About 3.75 million married couples in the U.S. live apart for reasons other than marital discord, military, work, or school. We know some professions that have a reputation for leading to divorces. Like I know, I always hear about truck drivers. It's tough to be a truck driver, to be on the road all the time and maintain a marriage. Military always talks about, you always hear, the stories, the drama, the tragic stories of people who are in the military and how their marriages fail. Long distance. So we know that long distance can be a problem and an issue. Now, ideally, I wouldn't recommend being in any type of long distance marriage. Why? Because right in the owner's manual, we see that Adam and Eve were placed in the garden together. They were not separated in their labors. And it appears when we read the text that when they were separated in their daily occupation is when Satan had opportunity to speak to Eve alone. Message, Jim. So I think it's good for a married couple to together with each other as much as they possibly can, allowing, healthy autonomy, obviously, in that. But, be separated too long and temptation comes in some cases, not all cases. But I didn't forgot about the fact that there are married couples who are actually functioning in long distance relationships, and some of them are successful. So take that for what it's worth. Long distance relationships are especially common among college students. Well, that's interesting. Around 32.5% to 40% of all college relationships are long distance. I did not know that, friends. As many as 70% to 75% of college students report having been in a long distance relationship at some point. I'm not too sure why that is, other than I can think of social media, but I don't know why a college student would be involved in a long distance relationship. Usually you find your spouse at college. That was my experience. And I know the experience of many people that I know. You go to college and you end up getting married to somebody from campus. So I didn't know that many young people are actually finding a spouse or in a long distance relationship while they're at college studying, which does not seem all that productive to me. But hey, what do I know? Okay. So there are some findings, some studies done over at the University of Hong Kong, Denver, and Ohio State that I want to share with you. And here are some of the key research findings. More recent research suggests that long-distance relationships can be just as strong or sometimes even stronger than geographically close relationships. Who would have thought? Partners in long-distance relationships report being just as in love, just as satisfied, and even having lower levels of aggression and better communication. This makes sense because when you're with someone from a distance, you don't really get to know them. You don't get to see anything they may annoy you about them. You don't get to see their character all the time. And you don't have that much communication as if you were together every day, which could lend itself to maybe aggression and not so good communication because you're having to deal with the moments where you're not in a good mood. You know what I mean? When you've had a rough day and when we tend, for some reason, the human mind, the human experience, we tend to take out our frustrations on the people that we love, that are closest to us, because who else would you argue with or be mad with anyway, or communicate or offload your frustrations with other than those who are close to you? Makes sense. I'm not saying it's right, not condoning it. Okay. Another factor here. The geographical distance itself is less important than subjective experiences and attitudes of the partners. Yeah, this makes sense. If it's working, if it's clicking, if this person is sweet, a delight, you feel comfortable, you feel secure, you feel loved, you feel appreciated. What is distance? Face-to-face time. This is an important factor. More face-to-face time is associated with increased trust. Hence why I was saying that the video calls are a super plus. Less time between visits is associated with a better intimate life. That's common sense, right? The more time you spend together, the more intimate your relationship is going to be if you guys get along when you're in one another's presence. Then there's the paradox of distance. This one was interesting. One study found that greater distance is correlated with better outcomes. Researchers theorize that this may be due to three factors. Greater distance makes it possible to idealize the partner and not see their flaws up close. Second factor, potential factor. Partners invest more in emotional intimacy and communication since physical options are limited. This is powerful. This speaks to the owner's manual. We're promoting no sex before marriage. And look what the research is showing. When there's not physical touch, when there's not physical intimacy, the investment emotionally increases. Not here to say I told you so, but the owner's manual told us so. All right, friends? Makes sense. What you're not getting physically, you have to make up emotionally and intellectually, which is where you want to be. You want to get to know the person here first and not their body. That comes and goes, friends. You can have sex with anybody. That's the reality, beloved. You can have sex with another body any place on planet Earth. You don't have to like them, be into them. I know some of you are going to fight back. Oh, but no, my body, I'm just saying physically. Physically, you can get into a place of passion and just see a body part. And I'm not saying it's a good place to be in. This is the base place. This is the depraved place to be in, an animalistic place to be in. But you can enter that space. It's happening every day. We see it online. We see it in our culture that's just fallen and demoralized, that people are just racking up bodies without having a second thought. 100, 200, 1,000, it just doesn't matter. Okay, so let's not act like we don't know this goes on among some people. Extreme distance, okay, is an understandable barrier, while a small distance can raise the question, why aren't we bridging the gap, potentially causing more trouble? So in long distance relationships, it's just accepted that, hey, we can't meet all the time. We can't be in one another's presence. So the expectations are realistic. Distance makes the heart grow fonder, is what they say. And there may be some truth to that. It seems like, scientifically speaking, from the research, all right? Distance makes the heart grow fonder. All right, so do long distance relationships last? That is the question, right? Do they actually last? Do they work out? Obviously, you're going to say some, but let me give you some numbers. Around 60% of all long distance relationships are reported as successful in the long run, okay? And some reports say about 50%, but let's say 50 to 60%. Now, the breakup rate, this is going to blow your mind. The breakup rate for long distance dating relationships is often found to be no higher than for geographically close dating relationships. Can you believe that? So maybe distance is not really a factor. Maybe it's how you actually just feel about and your thoughts about the other person. We should have saw those who were in long distance relationship breaking up more than those who were in traditionally closer geographical relationships, but that's not the case. In any 6-month period, both types of relationships show a similar breakup rate, around 40% in some studies, indicating that distance itself is not a primary factor in failure. How about that? I think I've kind of heard a lot of the times that we blame the long distance on the breakup, but I don't think that's accurate at all. I don't think the distance was the problem. More on that later. Overall, long distance relationships are quite common and a significant part of modern dating and marriage, largely driven by educational opportunities, career mobility, and the ability to connect with people globally through the internet. Okay. So when does it break down? Okay. What is causing the breakdown in long distance relationships? Because if you're in one, you're probably concerned about that. Well, it's the transition to being geographically close, friends. The couples that successfully move to the same place, about 1/3 break up within 3 months. What happened there? Well, friends, the ideation is over. The fantasy is, the curtain is being drawn back. Real commitment happens and new challenges occur. Moving closer does not solve all issues, okay? It introduces new ones. Now it's getting real. Couples often miss what? They miss the novelty and the autonomy of a long distance relationship. So when you're in a long distance relationship, you can kind of come and go as you please. You're not seeing how your partner interacts with other people because you may not like that. There may be some jealousy there, etc. And you've kind of got them in a box, right? Okay, I speak to you from 6 to 8 every day, and that's it. And I'm free to do whatever I want the rest of my time. And they're losing some of their autonomy. And so that's a problem. Then, it's always fresh. It's like, okay, we meet every 4 weeks, every 6 weeks, and you're excited. Maybe your heart's pounding, you got butterflies, and it always seems new. But when you get into a realm where it's every day, not so new anymore, friend. And now what are you going to do? Do you really enjoy this person's company? Partners rediscover their partner's positive and negative traits when they finally get close to each other, friends, that were previously obscured by the distance and the idealization. Reality sets in. Now you're really getting to know this person better. The transition is associated with increased conflict and increased jealousy. Not all the time, but this is what happens when these relationships break up. As partners meet friends and observe interactions they could not before. Who is this friend of yours that I do not like how she is talking to you? Who is this dude? Why is he always around? It's real, beloved. So much is hidden. And let me say this, friends. If you're having intercourse with this person, if you're having sex with this long distance partner, I think, oh man, the scales on your eyes could even be thicker because now you have this physical, emotional attachment and it seems so perfect. Like, oh, this is so lovely. And now when you get to know them and see them in their regular environment, you may even feel more hurt now. Like, wait a minute, wow, this relationship was going on. Like you have these type of interactions with people. You don't want to spend this time with me, and it's more complicated. All right, listen. Here's a reality. We know that in a relationship where you are close in proximity to one another, everyone knows like, okay, this could not work out. And so the amount of time, energy, resources you invest into finding out if you're going to be together, maybe it's minimal because it's like, all right, well, we just don't see each other anymore. It wasn't a large part out of my lifetime, day, etc. But you're a little bit more, or you can be a little bit more invested in a long distance relationship versus a close proximity relationship. So I think your emotional involvement too, and your expectations and the letdown can be greater in a long distance relationship. Not saying that that's always the rule, but moving closer creates a tension where increasing connection requires giving up some of the independence you once enjoyed while you were apart. So I want you to just know and consider these things as you get into a long distance relationship. Like these are the hurdles you're eventually going to have to get over. And let me also add, when there is no discussion about when you're going to actually start to live within the same state, the same proximity, a few miles from one another, versus 3,000 miles from one another. If that never comes up in your discussion, what are you doing? Now, over here at No Pillz Podcast, we court to marry. Amen. So even if we're in a long distance relationship, that is the goal. I'm getting to know you, those around you, friends, family, otherwise, no matter distance, for the purpose of marrying you. If you are in a long distance relationship and that discussion is not being had, we're in a monogamous relationship, right? A courtship scenario, but there's no talk, discussion, plan to actually be together. What are you doing? That is going to fail. Those discussions need to be being had. I dated my wife for 2 years before we got married. I was not a Christian when we first started dating. Then I became a Christian in the process of us dating. We both did. And, for me, 2 years is more than enough time, I think. Anything more than that, you got to start asking yourself like, man, what are we doing here? And if you're in a long distance relationship and you're 2, 3, 4, 5 years in and no one's talking about moving, like, what are we doing? What are you doing? Well, you're wasting your time, friends. You're wasting your time, okay? Now, there's some clinical observations that go along with why the long distance relationships break up as well. There's just some non-negotiables, okay? Now, this is why you're probably in a relationship, a long distance relationship, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, because if neither partner is willing to compromise and move, I have my career, I have my house, I have my kids. Listen, friends, have those discussions early on. If you know you're dealing with someone who is in a relationship, who has children, and they have another parent, or the other parent is involved in their children's lives, and they're saying, hey, I cannot move because I got a court order, I have a court order, or I want my children's father to be involved, or the children's mother to be involved in their lives, maybe that person's not for you. You've got to respect it. They can still be a delightful person, lovely person, but that's not going on. Someone is really career oriented and they're like, hey man, I don't work my way up and I don't want to give up what I have going on. Just, okay, it's not going to work. They've got the mortgage, just about pay. Look, listen, whatever the reason is, as we're older too, I think younger people don't have this issue, but as you're a little older, like have that discussion up front. Why get to know a person and get locked in when there's just some non-negotiables that you should be laid on the table immediately, so you're not wasting one another's time. The attitude, friends, a person's belief about long distance relationships. So a lot of times we can come in and see the glass half empty and not half full, or just don't believe in them. And then maybe out of desperation, We enter into a long distance relationship when we already have negative thoughts about long distance relationships. We don't believe they can work. We don't trust them. And we, whatever our long list of complaint is, and then we go and find someone and we end up in a long distance relationship. Why? Why are you doing that to somebody? That makes no sense. So make sure your attitude is right about a long distance relationship, because if you already think it's going to fail before entering into it, let me tell you, it's going to fail. So how do you make long distance relationships work? I have 6 tips for you, 6 keys that I found online, and then I'll give you some bonus thoughts from myself right after that. So the first key, prioritize face-to-face visits. This is kind of common sense, friends. You have to prioritize the face-to-face visits or it's just not going to work, okay? You can't be putting these off. You got to make the travel time. You've got to do the video calls. You've got to lock in, all right? Next, you want to maintain a positive attitude. If you cannot deal with the idea of your partner being in a long distance or of some distance from you, and you don't know if they're cheating or not, and you're going to have a jealousy thing, don't do it, friends. Like, it's not you're not built for it. It's not for you, because as an adult, you have to realize, and as a mature person, this is part of the risk you take on when you're involved in a long distance relationship, let alone any relationship at all. Any person can cheat on you at any time. So if you have some trauma going on in your life and you just can't, your thoughts, your imagination runs too wild, don't do it to you or to the other person. Just you're not built for it. It's not your grab bag. Okay, it's not your grab bag. And remember, this goes beyond just jealousy, but also if you just don't think a long distance relationship can work, don't go and getting yourself into one. Don't be in one then. Make sense? All right. Next tip, number 3. Establish certainty of the future. We just spoke about this, but I'm giving you the list now, okay? There has to be certainty about the future, friends. You're just not courting, dating long-term for infinity, okay? This is not a Buzz Lightyear relationship, okay? It's not infinity and beyond. No, we need, okay, to lock in some priorities. What are we doing here? Why are we here? This is why I love the owner's manual. This is why I love that God gives us clear intentions to get married and not to just be horsing around. Okay. You need to manage distress. You need good communication. Successfully managing your own psychological distress and helping your partner manage theirs leads to lower overall distress and higher relationship quality. So in other words, say how you're really feeling. Be honest with your feelings. Be honest with your thoughts about the relationship, where you are. Be aware of your own mental health. And especially because you're in a long distance relationship, there's a lot your partner is not seeing on the day-to-day, minute by minute, moment by moment. So it's important that when you are communicating, you're bringing that person into your life. You let them know, hey, let me tell you what I did today. Here's what I had going on. Let me stop, listen to what you have going on in your day so you can better get to understand one another and know what the stresses, distresses are in each other's lives. And if you are willing to take that on, listen, let me just speak to you plainly. You need to be finding out if this person is crazy, okay? If are they mentally stable? And you're having to do that from a distance, okay? When you can't see them all the time. So be wise. Make sure you do a lot of listening, okay? Maybe not so much talking, but equal listening, equal talking. Let's say that, all right? All right, don't postpone bridging the distance, okay? Tip number 5. Don't keep putting it off. Don't keep pushing it back. You've got to listen, this can be scary. I don't want to downplay this. If you're established and you have things already situated where you are at your address, it's a fearful thought unless you really have some strong confidence that I'm going to uproot my whole life and relocate somewhere else. I don't think this is made for everybody, friends. I don't think long distance is made for everybody. Okay? So I don't want to downplay that. I don't want to say, oh, it's just easy, just go do it. No, it's nothing easy. But there had to have been a lot of good communication, clear communication, where you both feel comfortable to take that next step. But if you keep putting it off, I guarantee you that relationship is going to fail. And it's better to know sooner than later if it's going to happen or not, the relocation is going to happen or not. Last tip, find common goals and solutions. Okay, plan for the future and find solutions for obstacles together, keeping an open mind about who moves where. Okay, it's an opportunity. If you can figure out the relocation hurdle and find solutions for that, this is a good indication that over the life of the relationship, you'll be able to conquer problems and find solutions together the same way you did with the relocation problem. Now, let me say this to you. Don't relinquish the novelty and the anticipation that you're probably going to lose to some degree, potentially lose when you move closer to one another in proximity. So plan to maintain that. Okay, plan to maintain that. Now, here's something that I thought about as I was going over this. I thought about my relationship, me getting married, what that looked like. And I was blessed to be with my wife 18 years married, almost 18 years married, almost 20 years together before she passed away. And I thought about how easy it was. We were in our 20s, early 20s, and it was so easy. Maybe because we had less responsibilities, okay? We just always wanted to be together. Nobody was forcing us. I didn't have to tell myself, be intentional about being intentional about wanting to be with D. Okay? I didn't, what? I didn't have to write myself a note. And I didn't have to schedule her in on my calendar and be like, okay, on Thursdays we're going. No, friends. No. I've never had a relationship like that. When two people are into one another, they naturally make the time. They naturally want to be together. It's like, oh, okay, I'm going to school from this time to this time. I'm going to be at work from this time to this time. And it's like, boom, I'm calling you after work. Did you get home safe? Are you all right? Are you good? To me, these things are natural. So I think a lot of the counsel I ran into online is feedback from older people or people who are just have more responsibilities, house, kids, job, really career oriented, going to be doctors, something that's they've already have these large constraints on their time. So now they're having to tell themselves, well, if I want to actually be married, I'm going to have to relinquish some of my time to somebody else. And it's this whole like, I don't even know if it's friends. I don't even, is it passion? Is it love? Like when you're into somebody and you enjoy someone's company, it just happens. And you both want to do it and you're both looking forward to it. So I don't care if it's a long distance or a close proximity relationship. When you want to be together, you will be together. When someone wants to talk to you, looks forward to talking to you, they're going to be talking to you. Right? And so probably finding the balance in that, where you have a person who's going to respect that you may have some other responsibilities or obligations with your time, and they can't talk to you from sunrise to sunset because we all have to live lives and responsibilities. But knowing that you don't have to tell them to call me on those open pockets of time because they're already looking forward to those times when they know they can speak to you. And they're breaking their necks to buy that plane ticket. They're going out like they can't not want to be with you. And I don't think a person who has to convince themselves or remind themselves, hey, don't forget about Sue over here. Don't forget about Janet. You know, I got to remember to call Yolanda. Oh, I got to call Mike. I don't know what happened to Calvin. The friends. I've never been in a relationship like that. And the relationship that led to me being married was definitely not that way. We were locked in from the jump, and that's how it is. You enjoy being friends with that person. My name is Gordon McGhee. This is the No Pillz Podcast, Love Fully Scripted, and I'm signing off, and I will catch you next week.